Hey everybody, Brian Zayn here with my Extreme Rules 2016 review. On paper, this card looked very good, so would it deliver? We're about to find out. But the first order of business, the big backstage news on Sunday was that Cody Rhodes, aka Stardust, was released from the company on Sunday. It was reported on Saturday he asked for his release, and on Sunday he done got it. And so a lot of people on social media today were asking me to comment on Cody Rhodes and his career and his release and things like that. But let's talk about the statement that he put out after he was released, in which he talks about he wanted to drop the Stardust gimmick for the last 6 months or so, but creative just didn't listen to him. They kind of big timed him. He talked about he wasn't really being used to his potential. He said that the best actors don't take lesser roles. He called the system broken and unrecognizable. He threw the creative team leaders under the bus in a pretty big way. He went about as scorched earth as you could get while still being semi-diplomatic to everyone else in the company. My thoughts on Cody Rhodes being gone is that, when the last big batch of releases happened a couple of weeks ago with Sandow and Barrett, etc., the phrase missed opportunity was bandied about a lot by many people, including myself, during that last batch of releases. But to me, nobody symbolizes the phrase missed opportunity quite like Cody Rhodes did. For 10 years now, he's been given he's done everything he's been asked to do, and he's done it very well. As he said in his statement, he made chicken salad out of chicken shit. And, whether it be Cody Rhodes as part of Legacy, or when he was Dashing Cody Rhodes, or when he was like the Phantom of the Opera gimmick he had with the face protector, to doing Stardust, he had the mustache gimmick with the Rhodes scars and everything. He really, went above and beyond and did everything he was asked to do, and he did it very well. I don't think, would he have been WWE champion? I would hope so. I think he had the skill set and the ability in the ring to do something in the main event level. Whether or not he would win the title, I'm not sure, but I think he definitely earned a spot in the main event, not just because of his lineage and who he was related to. I did like the Stardust character. I didn't think of it, initially I thought it was kind of a Goldust ripoff, but as time went on, I thought he did a very good job making it his own. And it's too bad that he wanted to get out of it. He wanted to be Cody Rhodes, which kind of contradicts what everyone thought was the case as of last year. Even myself, I was one of those people who thought, well, he wants to keep the Stardust gimmick, and apparently now it sounds like that was not the case, or at least it hasn't been for the last 6 months. So, very sad to see Cody Rhodes go the way he did. The fact that he wasn't utilized to his fullest potential. I think he had a lot more to give than what he was given. I don't think he deserved to be mid-card for life. So that's my take on Cody Rhodes. Moving on to the pay-per-view itself, Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler facing off in the pre-show in a no DQ match. This is the second month in a row where they fought in the pre-show, so at least the writers are being consistent. Now, this match, I thought it was good for what it was. It was a quick and dirty match. Dolph Ziggler made Baron Corbin look like a huge monster. He just sold everything Corbin did so well to make Corbin look so strong and devastating. I did like the fact that this is no DQ match, so you would expect more shenanigans to be had, but they only really went to that well one time. They only invoked the status of no DQ one time, and that was during the finish with the low blow by Corbin leading into the end of days for the finish where he went over. So it was kind of nice to keep it simple, considering what the rest of the card was going to hold as far as the Extreme Rules thing, the whole motif goes. I think it's nice they kind of kept it to one spot, and it was very simple storytelling, and I think it worked. And of course, like I predicted last month in my Payback review, as dumb as it was that Corbin lost that first encounter, I knew he was going to come back and win the second match at Extreme Rules. So there you go. Also, I want to point one thing out really quick. This is the third year in a row, at least, that WWE has used that same graphics package for Extreme Rules. That's just lazy and irresponsible. You got to update that stuff every once in a while, guys. Tornado Tag Team match. The Usos of the Bloodline take on Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows of the Club. This match, like I said in the previous match with Ziggler and Corbin, how Ziggler made Corbin look devastating in that match. I think the same thing can be applied here with the Usos making the Club look like $1 million. They made him look so devastating and awesome, which is good because for the last couple of weeks, I think Anderson and Gallows have been booked kind of like dolts against the Bloodline, and the Usos in particular, losing in matches they really should have had no business losing. JBL saying that this was a fantasy match I thought was laughable, because when I think of best Japan tag team versus best WWE tag team, at least throughout all history, or at least even the modern era, the Usos are not the first team I would think of to represent WWE. Be that as it may, the Usos, I noticed, took a lot of hard bumps during this match, like multiple times on the floor, and then off the top rope into the ring, and just taking all these huge crazy bumps, and it made the club look really, really good. And of course, the finish was Gallows using the bell to his advantage to hit Jay with it as he came down off the top and leading up to the Magic Killer for the club to win. So again, like I said, it's very good that the club were booked as strong as they were in this match, considering what the last few weeks have held for them. And it was good storytelling leading into the main event later on between Reigns and Styles. U.S. Championship, Kalisto defending against Rusev, which I think is a huge step up for the big man from Bulgaria after the last few months he spent being kind of relegated to the bottom of the totem pole in the League of Nations. And I've said before on this show, when you consider where Rusev was this time a year ago and a little before that with his huge monster push as U.S. champion the first time around, and considering where he fell throughout the rest of 2015 in the love rectangle and what he did in the League of Nations, it was not a good look for him. So I think this match and him winning tonight in the U.S. Championship match was the best thing that's happened to him in ages. But the match itself I thought was a classic big versus little setup, I think. I actually liked this match better, as good as the Kalisto Ryback match was at Payback, in my opinion. I think that this match was a little bit better because, to me, it had more of a story, and all it took was Rusev doing the whole back injury thing in the weeks leading up to this match. I think that just helped to sell their story a whole lot better because, to me, I don't feel like there was that kind of level of intensity or urgency with the feud with Ryback, so I think that this was a step up. I thought the bump he took coming off the top onto the apron was so stiff looking. I did not envy Kalisto in that bump. For such a little guy, he takes some crazy bumps. I'm thinking back to, like, you know, TLC or however long ago it was when he, against the New Day, this leaded to assault of the ladder and how devastating that looked. You know, this obviously not quite the same visual, but it's just one of those things where it invokes, wow, this guy's putting his stuff on the line every night, and it's crazy to see the sacrifice he makes. And also, it's really cool about Kalisto with Rusev is that Kalisto's extra flexible, so when he's in the Accolade, he makes it look super devastating. It kind of reminds me of when, like, Natalya would put Melina in the sharpshooter and stuff, and Melina's so flexible that she could bend back and her foot would hit the back of her head, and it would make it look that much more devastating. That's kind of what Kalisto in the Accolade reminded me of. So it was a really super sweet looking Accolade, and Russo won the match. So again, good on Rusev, and I hope that this now means the heat with him and Lana and all that stuff is past now. I would hope so. I mean, I think the title is a pretty good indicator of that, so yay Rusev. Tag Team Championships, New Day versus the Vaudevillains. The highlight of this whole feud between them was, in my opinion, last week's thing on Raw where they had the time machine skit and doing all that funny stuff with them. And, you know, I think Dave Meltzer said something recently that I think I'm starting to agree with. The New Day, you know, they're the comedy act of WWE. They don't really need the Tag Team Championships, although they're kind of in a weird spot right now where the other tag teams still are kind of doing their own thing before they can come up and really be a credible threat to the tag titles, if that makes any sense. I think the New Day, they don't need the belts to be over. They're perfectly over on their own, and they've held the belts long enough. I think they're at the point now of heel team, like the Vaudevillains, if they have a rematch, or the club. You know, they can win the tag team titles, and it will be a big deal. But be that as it may, I think this is a fine match. I just noticed tonight how Xavier Woods has the Iron Sheik curly-toed boots. How long has he been doing that? I haven't noticed until just now. I thought it was pretty hilarious. You know, the New Day win after interference from Kofi on the outside. It's shades of when they were heels, but it's cool now because they're faces. You know, that's kind of the way the wrestling world works. The one thing I will say, though, I don't know if I mentioned this in the past, but boy, Big E's spear to the outside through the ropes scares me to death every time. In the culture that wrestling is in today, when in WWE especially, when so many people get injured on a regular basis, you would think they would do their best to try and prevent further risk by cutting out ridiculous spots like that. I mean, the way that Big E always comes down, I don't know if he's gonna have his shoulder explode or if he's gonna land on his head the wrong way. You would think they would try and have him cut back on that, especially because he's one of the top faces in the company as part of the New Day, which is one of the top face groups in the company. But be that as it may, New Day are going strong. Fatal 4-way for the Intercontinental title. The Miz defending against Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Kevin Owens. Now, first, let me get this out of the way. Yes, this was clearly a Match of the Year candidate. I really wish Michael Cole didn't say that in commentary afterwards to pound it into our heads. Let us, the fans, figure it out and decide for ourselves instead of you telling us that. I mean, this has been a problem with Cole and WWE for a long, long time now. Them telling you, this is one of the biggest moments in Raw history. It's like, okay, we get it. Let us figure that out for ourselves. But anyway, I would have to agree. It was definitely a match of the year candidate, and the year is still young. There's still a lot going on. But I mean, this match is an early contender. That being said, I think it's silly the way Sami Zayn was booked into this match, because it basically boiled down to him going, well, I may have lost to Kevin Owens last month, but boy, people like me and they want to see me have this title shot. And Shane McMahon just said, okay, like that doesn't make any sense in the logical world of wrestling. But when you consider how Shane got into power at this point in kayfabe, I guess it makes all the sense in the world. Fatal 4-way matches in WWE these days are definitely designed for everyone to get their stuff in one-on-one spots. And then the occasional multi-man thing, like the whole combo with the powerbomb and the superplex and all that. Then the German exploder combo, I'd never seen that before. That was a really cool spot by Cesaro. Yeah, everyone got their stuff in. Everyone was really good. The workhorses of the company, those 4 guys, definitely putting in work. And then, Miz sneaking in at the end to retain after Zayn hit Cesaro with the haluva kick. Even though the heel wound up retaining at the end of this great match, it didn't take away from the match itself. Babyface winning would have added to it, but the heel winning didn't take away from it. It was still an amazing match. Up next, the Asylum match, aka WWE's answer to TNA's Lethal Lockdown match, as Dean Ambrose took on Chris Jericho, who was wearing long pants in a ring for the first time since about 2008. One thing I noticed was the new black cage. I thought that was a nice touch. The commentators invoking Perry Saturn when the mop was first brought out. Actually, the commentary in general in this match was very good, in my opinion. And Jericho's trash talking throughout the match I loved as well. Jericho's whole emotive range during this match was great. This match to me went on a little long. Now, like I said in my Payback review last month, I thought their singles match went long as well, but you could chalk that up to the fact that, well, the tag team match, the opener got cut short because Enzo got injured, and so they had to fill time somewhere. And I get that, but this one, they didn't have that problem to deal with. I think the match just went a little longer than it had to. I think, cage matches for the most part are paced very well, but then they had to have all these weapons in there, and they had not only have weapons, but they had to get all of the weapons, which I thought was a little excessive. I don't think they need to do every weapon there. The thumbtacks, let's go right to the finish. Never in a million years I think Chris Jericho would take a thumbtack spot. I didn't think he's one of those, you would almost say, in a protected class where he wouldn't have to do something that hardcore. The last non-Foley person I can think of to do thumbtacks in WWE was Randy Orton, and I think that was him just kind of trying to prove himself. So with Jericho doing it, like, wow, I never would have expected that coming. That was like the spot that made me really get on the edge of my seat. I couldn't believe when I saw that, just seeing the blood and everything. It was, and then of course, Dean Ambrose taking his own bump for dirty deeds, and then also going to the thumbtacks, kind of killed the moment in my opinion, but it was still, a very powerful moment. And then Dean Ambrose going over 2 shows in a row. I can't remember the last time he went over 2 shows in a row. So very good for Ambrose. So yeah, again, I think that the match went a little longer than it should have. I don't think they had to use every weapon. They didn't have to do that, but that's how it was. I think it was fun overall, but it could have been a lot shorter. Submission match for the Women's Championship, Charlotte defending against Natalya. Ric Flair was banned from ringside. First of all, I thought it was very interesting that the closing segment of the Go Home show before this pay-per-view was the contract signing between Natalya and Charlotte. I thought that was really cool. It's kind of refreshing to see that it didn't have anything to do with, the WWE Championship scene with Styles and Reigns. It was the women, which was really cool. The last time they did that, though, was the Build to Survivor series last year when Paige and Charlotte did the whole Reed Flair name drop, and that was super tacky. But this, they kept it very classy, and it was actually very compelling stuff. This match, I thought, was a good match. It was very solid for what they did. I think it was a better match to me than what they did at Payback. Charlotte's moonsault, to me, it's very awkward for me. The move itself isn't bad, but to me, it's in this super semi-protected thing where it's like she never misses the moonsault, but it never ends a match. So I wonder why you do it. It's just this weird thing where she's never missed. No one's ever rolled out of the way. To my knowledge, no one's ever rolled out of the way. No one's ever put their knees up. It's just like she nails it every time. And it's just one of those things where it's like, it kind of, if she wants to be the Flair clone, then she would miss every time, I would almost think. Or Kurt Angle, when he does the moonsault, only a handful of times did he ever actually land it. It's one of those things where if you're a heel and you're doing that move, I don't know why you would do it, because the moonsault gets a pop. And if you're a heel, you really should try and minimize doing that kind of stuff. Be that as it may, I thought, it was more Flair chicanery when Dana Brooke came out dressed as Flair, which I guess they had to give her something to do since Emma's hurt now, and she was supposed to be tagging with Emma. So now Dana Brooke's in the mix now with the Flairs and causing Natalya to lose, tapping out to the figure 8. So who knows where we'll see this go with Dana Brooke and Charlotte as a team now. And now with the rumors the report that Sasha Banks is injured, allegedly kneed in the head by a referee in an inadvertent spot, now out with a concussion reportedly last time I heard. I wonder what's going to happen with the women's championship scene right now as it is, since it seemed to me they were building to Sasha Banks challenging at SummerSlam. Main event time, Extreme Rules for the WWE Championship, Roman Reigns defending against AJ Styles. First of all, I have to say the build for this match in particular, I thought was very compelling. The fact that both teams had very shades of gray booking going on. You didn't really know which of the teams, if either of them were going to be turning heel at the end of this whole ordeal, whether it be Reigns and the Bloodline or Styles and the Club. Now, ultimately, nothing really came of that at the end of this, and I'll get to that in a minute, but this match itself, I thought, was a lot of fun, kind of like their Payback match. I think I had more fun watching the Payback match than I watched this one, but this was still a lot of fun to watch. Just brawling in the crowd, you don't see that very often, and, into the kickoff set, and then two table spots in this match was pretty impressive. Styles getting backdrop through it. 2 tables were gone overall. It was amazing. Styles went through 2 tables, and he still kicked out of stuff. I mean, say what you will about the way they've been booking him. Yeah, he's not champion, but he's still booked extremely tough, kicking out of table spots and everything, and laying into the Bloodline with the chairs. It was absolute chaos. I think the teammates in this match were booked, they were used very well, and they were obviously used in the match, but they didn't lead to anything. They didn't cause any kind of finish one way or the other. They were there and they were disposed of, and that was good, just to kind of further that conflict along. The finish itself was very similar to the Payback finish, where he goes for the phenomenal forearm, and then there's a spear at the end, and that's the end. So Reigns went over, and again, I'd say the match was very exciting. And I would say in a bubble, if what was about to happen did not happen, I think something else should have happened, either be Styles winning or Reigns turning heel officially. But that didn't matter, because at the very end, Seth Rollins came back and laid out Roman Reigns in the middle of the ring with a pedigree. Yeah, it's tough to know where they're going with this, because according to what the story is, Roman Reigns hasn't turned heel. So is he supposed to be a babyface getting laid out by the heel champion who never lost his title? Or is this Seth Rollins' triumphant return, coming back and doing justice as opposed, what the fans want and taking them out? Obviously, lots of questions to be answered in the weeks to come. We'll see where Rollins ends up on the spectrum. We'll see where Reigns and Styles end up. I'm curious to see where Styles and Gallows and Anderson end up on this whole pecking order thing, because now with Rollins coming back and Cena coming back and Orton coming back, there's a lot of question marks as to where these other new people are going to be, and where the mid-card people that we like right now, like Cesaro and Miz and Zayn and Owens and those people, where are they going to end up at the end of all this when all of the mainstays and the big names come back? My final thoughts on Extreme Rules 2016, comparing it to Payback the month before and seeing where they've gone now, I have to say this show, to me, I got an A grade out of it. Last month was a B+. I'm bumping it up to an A for Extreme Rules. I think the finishes overall, on the whole, were a lot more satisfying as just a fan watching it. Not a lot of titles changed except for the U.S. Championship. And, nothing huge happened in the world title match itself, but the aftermath was very intriguing. But the match itself was great. It wasn't really a bad match. Like the Tag Team Championships, Asylum match went a little too long, but I think the crescendo at the end and the build to that was amazing. So I'm not going to dock that too heavily. But yeah, I think the whole show, it met my expectations and then some. Like I said at the beginning of this review, very solid card on paper. And knowing the people involved, I wholly anticipated them to deliver, and they very much did. So yes, A grade for me. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. One final note, next month is the Money in the Bank pay-per-view in Las Vegas, Nevada, and yours truly is going to be there at the T-Mobile Arena in the crowd reporting on all the action, thanks to SeatGeek. Now, stand back, there's a plug coming through. SeatGeek is an app that aggregates all the different ticket-selling websites out there on the internet, making ticket buying very simple. From concerts to sporting events to WWE events, that kind of stuff and more is all there. Each ticket has a 1 through 100 score, so you know whether or not you're getting a good deal or a bad deal. The higher numbers, the better the deal. Or if you hate numbers, red is a bad deal, green is a good deal. When you choose a ticket, depending on your event, you'll actually get a view of where you'll be sitting there in the arena. And the best part about SeatGeek is the price you see on the ticket is the price you get. There's no hidden fees. And hey folks, if you enter the promo code ZANE on the app, you get $20 off your next order. You can download the app by clicking the link in the description. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, and buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. And by the way, folks, Dick Kick City is becoming a big seller. Thanks to everyone who's bought the shirt, and thank you all for your support. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.